Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of the Book of Boba Fett, The Streets of Mos Espa. And I thought this was an alright episode. However, it was very much point A, point B, point C kind of. And we kind of got a little bit more movement on where we're kind of going with this. But I don't know, man. This was like another short one, kind of like the first one, and we get more understanding of who Boba Fett's character is with the flashbacks. And the thing is, we only get a little amount of flashback here to pretty much connect with kind of what's going on around in the present. So we see that Fett and Fennec are pretty much just getting a kind of lay of the land of what's going on. The droid is pretty much giving him the understanding of what happened after Jabba died, and Bib Fortuna pretty much brokered some kind of peace between three different ones to pretty much split Mos Espa up between like the Trandoshan's, the Aqualish, and the Clactunians. Clactunians? Yeah. Clactunians. Something like that. But it's just to show that they'd have other people to kind of contend with and what's going on with the mayor and all that. Then we see this pretty much moisture water merchant pop in and be like, nobody really knows you, man. Nobody really knows that you're like kind of doing this stuff, but I came here to pretty much beseech you to like help me deal with these cyborg people that have pretty much been modifying themselves with droid parts that have been stealing my water and shit like that. So, right? He's like, yeah, if you get this done, I'll double my tribute to you. It's like, all right, so let's go and kind of check this shit out. So they do. They just go there. We see them with like these really nice looking bikes, and they're like, yeah, he's charging an insane amount for the water, and you live or die with water on Tatooine, and they don't have any work, even though they're in the workers' district. They don't go much deeper than that. And I'm just like, all right, they had to steal the water because they couldn't pay for it. How do they get such nice bikes? And I know it's kind of a weird thing. I don't mind how nice the bikes are. It's just since it's on a desert kind of planet, you would think that they would be a little bit more worn and whatnot. They wouldn't be as bright for that kind of long. Now, granted, if they're like brand spanking new, sure. Okay. It's just like, oh, alright. It's just mainly that kind of thing. I don't really mind it that much. It's just more of an inconsistency of like, usually Star Wars kind of aesthetic is like grimier depending upon what the planet is, and Tatooine is kind of like a backwater with dust and sand and grit, and it would mess with those kind of things so that way it would look kind of like dirty and kind of worn. But that gives Boba Fett that. He's like, all right, cool. I'll just have you guys working as my posse for my criminal empire. Pretty much. I'm like, okay, I don't mind that that's the end goal, to like help these people out and give them work to do. And then the kind of moisture merchant dude's like, hey, fuck that shit. And he's like, all right, how much do you charge for the water? 1,300. All right, you're getting 500. So screw you. And they're gonna work for me. I'm like, okay. It's just resolved kind of too easily. Like, I don't know. I understand that we need the plot to kind of like go along and move. It's like we need the plot to do this. It's like, all right, plot demands. Okay, I just think that they try and do a little bit more. It just was really easy to be like, all right, cool. Let's go back to my place. And then he's in the back to, we get another flashback where he pretty much goes to collect the toll from the Pike Syndicate. They're like, yeah, but we're already paying this other group that we've pretty much seen that's been like harassing and doing stupid shit. And Boba's like, all right, cool, I'll deal with this, fine, cool, whatever. Goes back, we see that all of the Tuskens were pretty much killed by this gang, and then he does the burial for them, and we're like, okay. We'll have to see how that kind of works out, but that's the end of that because we're interrupted by the angry Wookie. Kersantan has popped up, and we get a pretty good fight scene. It does show that the cyborg gang people have at least some competent fighting skills. However, they still kind of don't really win out much because it's mainly like Fennec and Boba's kind of win on it. Because Boba's like pulled out of the back. He's like, it really does show nice kind of character moments for him because he is in a very vulnerable spot, i.e., just in his fucking underwear. But he still fights this angry ass motherfucking Wookie who's like, I'm gonna kill your ass. And it's like, right, man. And he's like going for all these things, going for one of his gauntlets, uses the Tuscan stick that he's got, and pretty much just stabbing him. This Wookie, now granted, Wookiees take a lot to fucking kill, but this Wookie gets a little, gets some shit. He's like stabbing him with the thing. One of the cyborg, the kids, lack of a better term, they don't really even give them names. It's not like they introduce themselves or anything. It's more like Robo Hand Woman, Robo Eye Dude, Preppy Jacket Man, Boot Dude. Well, he becomes Boot Dude later on, but yeah, it's really kind of weird. Like, I don't need in depth or like fucking insane ass names to kind of deal with a person, but it's just like, oh, okay. Well, the Wookiee pretty much is able to kind of like get out into Jabba's chamber. They kind of like surround him again after he kind of like fucked up some of the people. But then Fennec's like, all right, everybody stand back, and they pretty much use the Rancor pit again, and they just like keep him in there for a little bit. But was like, well, it's another assassination attempt. This I'm probably gonna have to do something. It's like, yeah, but like enjoy the spoils of being a domo. Well, not domo, daimyo. And then they're like, the Hutts are here. And the Hutts are like, yeah, somebody's pretty much been, like, pitting us against each other. So, yeah, we're here to, like, offer you a gift and to tell you that we're kind of leaving here. It's like, oh, okay. This just seemed resolved very quickly and easily. I'm just like, all right. They offer him a gift of a Rancor that is pretty much handled by Danny Trejo. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And he was like he lets the Wookiee free. He's like, yeah, okay, no hard feelings. Just go and do your shit. And then we just see the Wookiee run off. It's like, all right. So then we see that they bring in the Rancor and everything. The dude's giving him the lowdown on him. And he's like, yeah, he's depressed. He's a calf and everything. We gotta get him into his kind of thing. They're very emotional creatures. It's like, okay, it sounds like he's got a really big kind of connection with him. We see Boba being actually nice. And not granted, we have seen him pretty much be nice as much as possible in that he doesn't broker shit. I do acknowledge that they are attempting to make Boba Fett a more nuanced character rather than a bloodthirsty bounty hunter or some kind of criminal asshole. He is trying to be in that kind of in-between spot, kind of gray area where he's trying to help as many people as possible. But if he needs to fucking kill a motherfucker, he's gonna do it. You know? So we see him scratching the Rancors, like, oh, you like that? And he's like, what's with the blinders? It's like, well, Rancors evidently imprint on the first human that they see. And I'm like, why does... Really? Like, why would they do that? Like, I understand an animal imprinting like a motherly figure or whatnot, or some kind of paternal figure. I just don't know why a Rancor would imprint on the first human. Granted, there could be some great in-depth lore explanation, but that's about as deep as they go for it. I'm like, alright. So they decide to take it off. Boba Fett stands there. He's looking at him, and then he's like, oh, okay, cool. And, of course, he's also giving the lowdown that, the Witches of Dathomir used to ride them in battle. Boba Fett's like, I'm gonna fucking do that. We're gonna train that shit. But he has to go kind of deal with, what's kind of going on because he wants to go to the mayor and kind of figure out what is going on. And that he learns that the mayor's got like backed up with all these kind of like things. He's like, fuck that shit. I need to see him now to ascertain what the fuck's going on. I'm like, yeah, assassins and all this kind of shit. Yeah, you'd really want to get on top of that. And then we see that the Rancor handler and the Rancor share some kind of like thing. He's like, yeah, he'll be back. It's like, are they here to fucking kill him too? It's like, Jesus. I don't mind assassination attempts on Boba Fett, but we're getting like a lot of them, and they're just kind of basic to me. Like, now granted, I don't need complex kind of things, but I need a little bit to kind of like make it kind of interesting. So they pretty much go, and we see that the lackey dude of the mayor's like, yeah, he's kind of booked up, so I was like, oh, let me check and see. Goes in, locks it, and his group of cyborgs also came with him. And the thing is, they drove in one way, and the minute they go out, they're all like, they parked one way. They've all been turned around, ready for the race, as the lackey dude is speeding off, and we see them doing the kind of chase sequence where they utilize their different kind of cybernetics to kind of like do some shit, but they like stop him, and we learn that the mayor's been dealing with the Pikes, and that they're pretty much going to be going to war with him. Eyeball Man pretty much is like, yeah, here we are. We get this all kind of set up, and they're ready to deal with them. So Boba Fett's kind of whole stuff with the Pike Syndicate is coming back into play that we've seen mainly set up in the flashback sequences. And this really feels at this point like a filler show. Like they needed something to do a holding pattern until they kind of figured out what they needed or wanted to do with the Mandalorian. And that kind of sucks. Now granted, that's just my feelings with it, because it feels very simplistic and plot demandy for a lot of things, and that things just happen really easily. And now that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing, but it's just like, okay, alright. I just want kind of a little bit more, kind of more exploration for Boba Fett, what he kind of wants to accomplish with his kind of criminal empire. And I know it takes some time to kind of get to that, but we're almost reaching about the halfway point where we're finally going to kind of get into the kind of war and everything like that. And I just don't feel any really emotion for him. Like, okay, this is where the plot's going. Alright. So we'll kind of have to see how that goes. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.